Welcome back to the Elise Surkov podcast, where we help women thrive unapologetically from the inside out in perimenopause and menopause. And today I'm going to be talking about something that was actually inspired by something I put up on my gram probably about a week or two ago. So every single day, well, not every day, but most days, I put up a quote. And a lot of women will tell me how much the quote of the day really means to them. Some women will actually print it out, put it on their vision board, and I love that. And if you haven't figured out already, those quotes are what is truly meaningful to me in the moment in which I post it, which is generally first thing in the morning when I do my meditation and I look for inspiration, and whatever resonates with me tends to resonate with my audience because we are one and the same. And I posted something about your diet is more than just your food, what you put in your mouth. Your diet is everything that you surround yourself with. And so I want to really talk about that today because I know that you are likely so hyper focused on nutrition because that's all that you've been conditioned to focus on, whether you're working on a body composition goal or you're working on gut health issues. And I want to remind you that your diet, which by the way is not a bad word. Can we just talk about that for a second? Your diet is the food that you eat, but it is more than just what you put in your mouth. It is the environment in which you are in the environment in which you are eating in, the environment in which you are living in, breathing, sleeping. It is who you spend the most time with. It is the messaging that you consume. It is what you see on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. It is what you listen to on your morning commutes. And so you are a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And one of the really big challenges for women that we work with, anyways, in our FFWE community is that women come in really motivated and ready to make changes. And we take it to the next level because we have guaranteed results in our program. We do not fuck around. In order for me to guarantee you results and not refund your money is to change who you are and how you look at your world. So we're looking at identity shifting. This is so hard for our women. And a perfect example is the woman, myself included, who used to love to drink and was very socially around alcohol, like everyone was like, hey, let's go for a drink. And it's Tuesday and tequilas and it's Friday and it's brunch and it's all these things. And we're going to have a hard night and we're going to have a soft, all these things. And then all of a sudden, you decide, I don't want to do that anymore. And now I feel like the odd man out, or the odd woman out, I should say. Everyone around me is still drinking and I don't want to anymore. Well, you're now surrounding yourself with people who are not in the same visionary as you, who don't have the same values as you. This is why, if you can be surrounded by like-minded women, which we provide in our community, you are like 10 times more likely to not just hit your goals, but to maintain them. So it's no wonder that a lot of my friends, okay, I don't have a lot of friends, but like most of my friends in my container will be very similar to me in values. All right. We value family, we value culture. We have the same potential religious or belief in faith, and then take it to the next level when I'm in, let's say, my business container. And I've been in business mentorship since I started my business in 2020, and I'm that way because I like being surrounded by like-minded people, like-minded CEOs who eat, sleep, and breathe their business with the same passion, enthusiasm, and obsession, for lack of a better word, than I do. When I'm with some of my friends who are in different business spaces and we're talking business, I feel like I can't connect with them in the same way. Just like, I always joke that when I go to like a fitness conference and everyone's pulling out their protein shake in their Tupperware, it's so easy just to do the same. But when I go to a conference that is like donuts and croissants and, all the things, I do feel like the odd person out when I pull out my protein shake or my Tupperware or anything like that. So surrounding yourself with like-minded people is going to be the biggest thing for you. And now you're going to say, so at least you're telling me I have to find new friends and family? Maybe. If your partner does not support the lifestyle in which you want to live, that's going to be a problem. If you are someone who is like, I want to be healthy and I value, my health. I don't want to have, prediabetes. I don't want to have cardiovascular risks. I want to be able to hike when I'm retired. I want to be able to pick up my grandkids. I want to feel good. I want to, I don't want to stay up late. I don't want to be drinking all the time. I don't want to feel like shit anymore. and your partner is still stopping off at McDonald's every day and making it hard for you to say no to those things, that's going to be a problem. And I say this, if we zoom out, it's probably a conversation that you've had with your partner at one time around children. So I know for me, when I met Albert, I was 19 years old, and there were two things that were really important to me. Number one was that we kept kosher, and number two is that we had children. And Albert was like, I don't even know what kosher means. And I was like, well, I have to have meat dishes and dairy dishes, and I can't mix milk and meat and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, that's cool. But like, that's a non negotiable for me. If we're going to live together and we're going to get married, like, this is so important to me. Like, I need to have my family over for dinner. I want to keep a kosher home. And so he was like, fine. Now, the one thing with kids, he was like, yeah, I want kids. But imagine if he said to me, no, I don't want kids. It would be like, cool, let's have some fun, but we're not going to take this to the next level because I want to have kids. Just like if you truly decide I don't want to have children, you're likely not going to find a partner who wants to have children. That's going to be a core value of yours that is so important. And that is something that a lot of people talk about. In fact, when I was talking to my therapist about this, was like, more and more people need to be having this conversation before they enter into long-term relationships, is like, we need to look at, where do we want life to be in 20, 30 years from now? Like, how do you envision this? Like, do you plan on staying home and raising kids? Do you, have plan to have like a double income? Like, what does that look like for you? I know for me, the idea of me staying home with my children and not working never even entered my mind. But I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter and I told my mom that I was taking mat leave for a year and going back to work, she was like, you're going back to work? Like, I don't understand. Like, why do you want to go back to work? Don't you want to be home with your babies? And I was like, that is something I don't want. I never wanted that. That wasn't something. And imagine I was with a partner who was like, no, I want you to stay home and, be a full-time stay-at-home mom. That wouldn't resonate with me. And a lot of people don't have these conversations until they're like knee deep into the marriage or knee deep into the relationship. So now that you are starting to change your values and what's important to you, it's important that you have that conversation with your partner as well. So, you might say, and by the way, we don't keep kosher anymore. For that didn't last very long at all. But, obviously the kid thing did. You got to pick your battles. But, when you're starting to change your identity, and let's take McDonald's here for a takeout, you're like, for a second, you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want to have McDonald's anymore. If you want to go and have McDonald's, that's great. And I don't want to change how you live in your life, but I don't want you constantly making me feel bad because I'm not doing it or because I'm choosing a different option. I'd like to go and do fun things with you that are not food related. And your partner, that might not be okay for your partner. You might be changing to the point where you need to reevaluate your relationships, or give them time and honest communication to come on board. I mean, this is why most diets end up failing. This is why most people end up regaining their weight, because they go back to all that fucking behavior that they did before, because they're like, well, I lost the weight. Now I'm just going to go back. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So your diet is so much more than just your food. It is those hard conversations. It is setting boundaries. It is saying, like I've said to Albert many times, people ask me, like, I get this question actually a lot in my DMs, which is, how did you communicate with your partner when you stopped drinking? And let me be clear, I still drink. All right. I love espresso martinis. I love tequila. I don't drink like I used to. I do not drink wine anymore. That's a hard no for me. Um, and so how did I have that conversation with Albert was a little bit uncomfortable and challenging, but I am also really strong-willed. So I'm like, I'm going to do me, you do you, and we'll see you later. And Albert knows and loves that about me. Right. But the conversation was a lot of reinforcement when we had holidays, when we had anniversaries, when we were on vacation. And he's like, I want you to drink. Like, obviously he misses that side of me. I mean, she was fun, she would drink until she was drunk and she would be wild and party. And I don't do like that anymore. So I understand that that's hard for him or my friends who were with me at that time to see and not see anymore. But I can still be fun without alcohol. I can still have a good time. I can still party without being drunk. But I do have to say to him, like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'm not going to, but I understand that you want to. And so I am going to participate in the evening of drinking with him, but I'm not going to be drinking. And if you're ever part of that, it's like just not as fun. So it kind of does change the mood a little bit. But to go back to that question is like, how do I have that conversation? It comes down to respect. I'm not asking him to change. I'm not asking him and saying, hey, Albert, do me a solid and stop drinking. I'm saying, like, I want you to go have fun, babe. Like, you have your couple drinks. He knows his limits. Like, he's good. And maybe I'll have a drink. Maybe I won't. All right. But it has to be this expectation going in to the environment and not like while we're in it because it's too late. It's just like when you have kids and you're trying to manage expectations. You don't wait until you're in them to kind of set the rules and boundaries of the playground. You say it before, right? Here's the rules of the playground. If you fight, if you scratch, if you butt, you're out, right? So same kind of thing. And, I also want to say that it's not just the boundaries you set with other people, it's the boundaries you set with yourself too. So another really big thing I see is women burning the the candle from end to end, right? And so we'll say, hey, I need you to be going to bed at the same time every single day. It's really hard for a lot of people because a lot of women will be looking at like Friday night is party night, Saturday night, and then we're going to catch up on sleep. Everyone feels like shit on Sunday. Everyone tries to start again on Monday. And we'll say, hey, we want to like stop that behavior because we're looking for consistency here. We're looking for like Saturday and Monday to feel the same, right? In your nutrition, in your lifestyle, and everything. And so for you, that boundary might be like, I go to bed at the same time every night. And you might have to set boundaries with your friends, with your family, with yourself. You might have to shut your phone down. You might have to turn the TV off. You might have to not Netflix that night or whatever that is. But it's so important because once you get everything else in alignment other than nutrition, sticking to your nutrition becomes a lot easier. It is so much easier. So it is the people that you spend the most time with. It is the boundaries that you set around you. It is the environment in which you put yourself in. So if you're a recovering alcoholic, are you going to put yourself at a bar like 1 year sober? Probably not, right? It's like I always use popcorners as my example, as my kryptonite. When I am feeling really emotional, really hormonal, really shitty, and I know that like I am going to crave to any cravings that come my way, I'm not going to go buy popcorners because that bag doesn't stand a chance, right? You have to understand yourself too, get to know yourself, and remember that it is so much more than just what you eat. And that also means you have to be a little bit more careful of the information that you consume. So a lot of women, in fact, I think in the last 6 months, every single woman has come to me saying that they follow so many people on social media saying so many different things about perimenopause and menopause. I heard that I should be delaying my caffeine in the morning. I heard that I should be using castor oil packs. I should be, having ashwagandha and rhodiola. And I also heard that I should be getting a weighted vest. And it's like, no fucking wonder you can't start. There's so much information out there. So, do a bit of a detox. Who do you need to unfollow? Who do you need to take a break from? I know for me on social, I try not to follow a lot of similar accounts of women that do what I do. And I will tell you, it's hard for me to do that because I love supporting women more than anything. So I support like my colleagues. If you and I, if we work together, if I'm supporting you, um, I will definitely follow you. I'm going to give you all the hearts, the loves, the likes. I'm a big supporter, even women that are like, quote unquote, my competition. You guys see that on Instagram all the time. I've had lives with a lot of my colleagues. I am very much of the abundance mindset, and there's lots of room at the top. However, I don't follow just anybody because it can fuck up my mindset, and it makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm the only one not saying this. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm the only one that's saying cortisol is not your problem. Like, it's not the reason why you're not losing weight. Yes, it's still an issue and we have to regulate it and we have to focus on it. But stop demonizing something. But like no one else is fucking talking about that. So when I think that and I'm like, well, I want to say that, but there's 100 other people that are saying that affects how I feel about myself, that affects what I put in my body, that's going to affect my overall diet. Okay. So watch what you listen to, watch what you look at, watch what you read, be mindful of who you spend your time and who you give your energy to. Be mindful of the boundaries that you set for others and especially for yourself. All right. I hope that this really landed with you. I would love for you to just leave me a review. Let me know, what other questions would you have for me on this? If you could ask me anything, I'd love to just do a podcast on question and answer. So shoot me a question. I'd love to hear it. You can reach me on social. I'll leave all the links below. And if you're more of a visual learner and you want to watch this on YouTube, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, Functionally Fit with Elise. Everything is Functionally Fit with Elise. Until the next time.